everybody. This is Raul for Bass Musician Magazine. And today we have the great honor and pleasure of chatting with somebody who is actually just across the mighty Columbia River from where we are, bassist Lucas Warford.
Hello.
Howdy. You know, it's ironic that as close as we are geographically, we're doing a Skype interview, but schedules are challenging, and
True.
this is a great way to make things work.
I'm not driving across that river unless I have to.
Oh,
that's pretty much what it comes down to.
The whole crossing the river thing is a weird syndrome, but we can get into that at a later date. So, Lucas, tell us a little bit about your bass journey, how you got started in bass, and that whole process.
Yeah, well, you know, I've wound up at a place now where it seems like this whole little idiosyncratic world that it seems incredibly intentional. You know, like I only play my Resonator bass, my bass banjo, and my big wash tub upright, and it looks like I woke up one morning and just like had this idea for this one show pop into my head, and then started doing just that. But, you know, really it was just tiny incremental steps over many years worth of time. You know, I grew up playing guitar and was my first instrument, was really obsessed with old swing and blues. You know, I mean, Django Reinhardt for me was like the whole reason why I started playing music at all. You know, I heard a Django album when I was like 16, and that was like my version of like a Jimi Hendrix experience or whatever. You know, I was like, whatever this is, I want to do this. Yeah. And so I started playing guitar, started playing manouche guitar, and I just really focused on that for a while. And then I got to college, and, you know, I really wanted to focus on trying to play music professionally, playing music, being on the road all the time. I just wanted to play, you know, just always be on the road. And guitar was, I don't know, it's like no matter how hard you work at guitar, you're always just going to be another shredding guitar player amongst a billion other shredding guitar players. And I'd started playing electric bass. You know, I'd always been like really drawn towards percussion and drums, but I hadn't never tried to do it like work at it to like a professional level. And a lot of the bands I started wanting to play with, you know, it's that same old thing, like need a bass player, don't necessarily need a guitar player, you know. Mm-hmm. And so at the very beginning, it was kind of just like what was needed was how I first got funneled into playing, focusing on bass. And then it really started to take off from there because I just very much got obsessed with just the rhythmic possibilities of it. And I mean, at this point, I'm just pretty much just playing electric bass, you know, just, you know, go through that phase. I feel like most percussive electric players go through where you're learning every Primus song, you're learning every Victor Wooten song, you know what I mean? Like, you know, that's just like part of your education, as it were. I got into playing upright, and then that kind of got things started to really get more niche from there, because with upright, then I started to get into Eastern European styles of super percussive playing. And not so much like the rockabilly thing, which is also very percussive in its own right. But, you know, just basically trying to see how hard and to what extent you could beat the shit out of an upright and make it to the other end of a gig. And I was always drawn, so much of it came from this contradiction of wanting to play certain styles of music that didn't make any aesthetic sense with the electric bass. Like the sound just didn't work well, you know, like that really percussive style of slapping and popping and all that on electric, it just didn't fit with the kind of music that I wanted to make. But that's the sort of instrument I love to play. Mm-hmm. And so that essential like friction between those two feelings is what was, you know, really led me to experimenting with the instrument itself and trying to find new possibilities with it and new sounds to make. And that's led me to the 5-string bass banjo now, and now the Resonator and the tub upright. You know, it was collaborations with different friends of mine over the years to make these instruments, and not just make the really important thing about it to me And I think the thing that separates it from being a gimmick is that is the instrument well made enough that it demands a style that's unique to itself. You know, like when I play the bass banjo, I'm playing it in a way that only works for it. It's not an electric bass style. It's not a banjo style. It's really like a combination of the two. And same thing with my other basses. And that to me is what you have to do to make it. A gimmick is like if you just pick it up and you still just play it like an electric bass. Because that's like, to me, that's like, what's the point? To me, there is no point. That's the definition of it just being like this thing that you're doing just as like a wacky one-off, which is fun. But we're really trying to move beyond that to like really find new expressions for the instrument as basses in general.
Got you. And a lot of people may not, I think conceptually they will grasp what you're talking about, but tell us a little bit, because obviously we all know what a banjo is.
Yeah.
So I guess the thought, and many banjos are 4-string already, so we're kind of going, okay, so a banjo with thicker gauge strings, reinforced neck, maybe bigger to have more,
Quite a lot bigger. It has a 39-inch scale length.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
But a resonator bass, what exactly is that?
So the resonator it's actually in a lot of ways become my favorite instrument now to play, but it's also the one I had the least hands-on in terms of the building of it. I approached National last year about the idea of doing a resonator bass and a 5-string with a particular tuning that I like to use. And, they were interested, but they've had other bass players approach them, and normally they'd said no. And but I was like, well, I'm not those guys. Let me come into the shop. I'm going to be on tour in California. Let me come into the shop. Let me bring the bass banjo. Let me play for you and just show you what I'm all about. And like, because I can send them videos and audio of the band and the songs, but it still often doesn't get the point across until you see me do it in person. And they were amazing at all stages of the game. Those guys, Jason at National, are so friendly and chill and just open creatively. And they said, all right, yeah, come into the shop and play. And so I did. And that really kind of sold them on it. They were like, they finally, I think, started to see the possibility of what I was talking about, but honestly, I still don't even think they understand what they've made, even now. Like, I keep sending them recording and audios of trying to be like, hey, you guys even realize what you've made and like the possibilities of it? And I think they're starting to get hip to it now.
Having special instruments like this is going to have some additional special requirements like strings.
Yeah, certainly. It's an always evolving adventure. From a technical gear perspective, with all these instruments, all three of them, it's always evolving. It's always like looking for like what are the best strings, what's the best pickup to use, like the best on-stage gear, and always trying to hone it down. As far as the strings specifically go, I got really lucky, I think. Right off the bat, I got connected with Calium strings. And mostly because at the time we were looking for somebody who would custom make whatever gauge we wanted at a 39-inch scale length, which is pretty uncommon. I mean, that's like and Calium, I mean, that's like their bread and butter. That's what they do is they make, that to them, a 5-string bass, the 39-inch scale length is like on the very normal side of the kind of shit that they find themselves making.
Yeah.
And so I got connected with them. They were way into it, and it's been a great relationship with them ever since. Like I love what they do, and they've been the only people. They don't make upright strings, unfortunately, so I do something else with my tub, but the bass banjo and the resonator, the Calium strings all the way for sure.
Got you. And then pickups, because again, with it being a kind of an acoustic instrument, I know that a lot of upright players run into challenges. I had somebody tell me, actually a microphone manufacturer in Portland.
Your trumpet?
I believe so.
Yeah. I know they just came out with an upright microphone. I haven't tried it yet.
Well,
but yeah.
The Nadine. We did some samples, and so we've got somebody.
Cool!
But part of what he was telling me is the ideal sound setup was to actually have a couple of mics like 3 feet away.
Yeah.
But if you're moving around on stage or they can't follow you, so you need something that is attached to you. So what are you using?
So like with the tub right now, I use the K&K Golden Trinity system, which is piezo, like standard saddle pickup on the bridge, and then also a small like condenser mic on a snake that goes into the body. And it works well for me. My style with the upright is so beyond percussive of what I know of anybody else doing that I'm connected to that I have to. I've experimented with a lot of things, but that's been a happy medium. It's a very rugged, straightforward system that is easy to, that's important too. I play so many shows and are always on the road that having something that's just durable and ready to roll is very important. And so that's gotten the job done for me on the tub. It gets the thump of the strings and then also gets all the percussion that I'm pulling out of, not just from slapping on the fretboard, but all over the body of the bass itself. And that condenser mic really helps in that way.
Gotcha.
With the bass banjo, I actually use a combination of a K&K, just straight up banjo pickup, and a Pick Up the World pickup that sits right underneath the bridge. And so I use a similar system on the Resonator, a Pick Up the World pickup on the bridge, and then the K&K Resonator pickup that sits that's like attached to the biscuit. And I blend both the signals on both those instruments. And like the Pick Up the World usually helps get like the real, just super low end. And then the K&K acoustic instrument pickup will help get the actual, like in the banjo case, like that nice twangy banjo sound, or in the Resonator case, like just the metallic, ghosty, biscuit sound. It's not, I don't think it's still evolving. I definitely don't think I've gotten to the top of the mountain yet, but it's a functional system that I've got going on now for sure.
Very cool. And with such unique instruments, this ties into a unique music approach with 3 for Silver. Tell us about the band. How would you, for our folks, I know there's an accordion involved.
Yeah, totally. There is an accordion involved in a very, very big way. The core of the band is a trio. Myself on my 3 basses and singing, and Willow Certain on accordion, and Greg Allison on violin and mandolin.
Okay.
And so that's the core of the band, and then it kind of grows and morphs from there. Yeah.
How would you describe your music? What?
Oh, yeah. I would. Anytime anybody asks me that, I usually try to back away very slowly and then run out of the room. Yeah, I mean, this is why we pay. This is why we pay a publicist to worry about these things. We're the worst about that. The long, boring answer is that I think we take a lot of inspiration from older styles of music, but we work very hard to present it, write our own material, and do it in a way that is relevant to audiences right now. That it's not a museum piece, or it's not just trying to be like, oh, music of a bygone era. You know what I mean? Like, this is a living, breathing tradition that's happening now, and to make that exciting for people. And I think that's kind of where we first jumped off of as a band was that kind of philosophy. And it just keeps changing though. Now it's like definitely bigger and louder than it ever has been. It's much more like a sort of crazy, like rock band, especially like the big band, but it doesn't fit easily into any genre. I usually just tell people that it's really good music and they should just come to a show.
That sounds like a good way to go. And speaking of even hearing the good music, I understand you guys are having an album release coming up soon.
Yes. Oh my. Yeah. So excited about this. September 8th at the Old Church. Our 3rd album is coming out. It's called The Way We Burn. It's coming out on Foggy Night Records, which is an awesome little indie label here in town that helps support original music. And yeah, I mean, I think that for me, this is like our first album. Like I'm so excited about it. I feel like everything else up till now was just like a nice little, demos basically. Like I feel like this is the first album where we've really said something that only we could say, I think is the best way I could put it. Like I listened to it and I like, for better or worse, like it or not like it, only us could have fucking made this album, So, yeah.
Well, that's very exciting. And if people want to hear it, and again, there will be, of course, local people that will see this, but more importantly, around the world, where would be
Yeah.
the best place for them to hear your music?
Well, all the regular streaming spots, and all the regular, iTunes, Spotify, Bandcamp, Amazon, et cetera, et cetera. It's going to be on all the standard internet locations.
Okay.
Certainly, if you're interested in buying it online, and if you want to go with the option that's the most equitable for artists, I always recommend people do Bandcamp, because that's the one that helps us the most. But it'll be in all the typical places. Yeah.
Excellent. And if they want to know about touring dates and where you're going to be, where would be the best place to look for that?
3forsilver.com, and Facebook, our Facebook page, and then Twitter and all that shit. We're on the road all the time. We often do over like 200 dates a year.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's our passion as musicians. That's I think one of the reasons why it's been so challenging to get an album that we're starting to like a sound, because our essential passion is playing live shows. That's what we're in the game for. That's what we do. That's like why we get up in the morning.
Nice.
So
well,
yeah.
And Portland is a great place for this kind of thing. There's so many interesting venues between the one on Mississippi Studios, or Doug Fir, or the Star Theater. There's so many funky,
classic places all around.
Eclectic places, and the musical public here is very receptive to interesting music as well. And so many times when we go, it's full houses. Whether you're playing a pub or you're playing a coffee house or whatever, people enjoy live music. And so that's a great thing, and it's very inspiring and motivating for bands to do what you do and want to be in live performance more than just kind of hide behind the curtain and do a studio thing and stay behind that.
Yeah, I dig people who that's their passion. I respect it, but it's not me. Yeah, I'm definitely all about playing shows. That's why I got into playing. That was what it was exciting about being on the road, being on tour all the time, playing shows all the time. Like even as a kid, that was part of the lifestyle is what excited me. And, I like to play every night of the week. You know what I mean? Like that's what I do. Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, Lucas, we appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to chat with us. And folks, 3 for Silver. I'll make sure I include links where you can see where they're going to be playing live, because that's the exciting place to catch their music. But the new album coming up, September 8th is the release. You know, there's all kinds of ways that you can discover what Lucas has been talking about, and you go, oh, I get it now, and I hear it now. And
listening to me talk about it is definitely, if you're interested in these days I don't feel too shy about it. It's like I don't know of anybody else who's doing what I'm doing. And if you think that's a bold statement, then come out to a show and find out.
Absolutely. So, well, you've got the challenge, folks. Lucas Warford coming to you live on Bass Musician Magazine. Thanks,
all right, it's a pleasure, man. Oh, of course.